So welcome to Athletic Wise, where like-minded people come to connect. We focus on sports science, in particular neuroscience, and how it relates to the sports we love. In today's edition of the High Performance Speaker Series, we'll be discussing purpose. Recent neurological studies have demonstrated we have purpose centers in the brain. One such area is the posterior superior temporal cortex. This area is activated with purposeful behavior. So it isn't just random behavior. This is actually purpose, but other-centered purpose. So purpose that is greater than ourselves. So today's special guest absolutely exemplifies this. Dave Proctor is one of the world's best ultramarathoners. Dave holds Canadian records for 24-hour, 48, 72, multiple world records, 12-hour, 24-hour, 100 miles on the treadmill. Dave, it's amazing you're on board. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on board, Sil.
Yeah, no, I can't think of a better person that exemplifies purpose. So is your main purpose these days to raise awareness and funds for your Outrun Rare Disease Foundation?
It is absolutely. I'm very lucky that I get to, the number one thing I love doing in my life is going for a run, going for a jog, and at the same time, doing those things to only amplify a voice that really matters to me in my life, which is rare disease. My middle child, my middle of three, Sam, he's got a rare disease, and super long story short, but we going through the process of getting a diagnosis. It took us over 6 years to get the diagnosis for my son Sam. We've come to realize that there's a significant void within our system in Canada when it comes to rare disease. And we're the only developed country in the world without a rare disease strategy. So over the number of years, I was kind of barking up trees and saying, hey, we need to do something about this. And somebody said, well, yeah, why don't you go do something about it? And so my wife and I, Sharon, we ended up founding Outrun Rare. And we're looking to really amplify the voice and really try to create a movement in Canada when it comes to getting average Canadians understanding the needs that face the rare disease community and getting up and doing something about that. So, I love the fact that we could use our passions and our skills. And like I've told you, Sil, before, I'm not skilled at most things, but I can go for a long run. And for whatever reason, people really pay attention to that. When I say, hey, I want to run across the country in record time, which is over 100 kilometers a day for over 72 days in a row, people go, that doesn't seem possible. And I know it's very possible. I know it's very doable. But at the same time, having a purpose behind it, there are many days you get up and you don't want to get out and run. Your legs are sore, your body is stiff, your soul is beaten. But having a purpose, like running for your son, I would run to the ends of the earth for my son Sam, makes you definitely go an extra 10 or 20 or sometimes 50% further than I think what you would.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. Is it, that greater purpose that allows you to dig deep, like, on the morning when you're going to get up, but also, you're at the 60K mark during the day, and it kind of, you think about, well, yes, my feet are killing, but really it's, then you think back, well, this is much greater than me. Is that what goes through your head?
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. I think a lot of the time, whenever I've done something for a selfish reason, that there's nobody to benefit outside of myself. In fact, other people have been selfless to end up giving me the time and space and energy to do those things. I've always said, I've never really ever achieved 100% of my potential. I've never really dug into my bucket, 100% down into the bottom part of the bucket. I feel like I've gone maybe 85 or 90% there, but I know when I'm doing something for a very selfish reason, for glory or for a fear of death or whatever that might be, I'll typically get to 60-65%, and I know I really haven't been able to dig any deeper. But when that there's a larger cause and a reason and a purpose, to do something, I find that it's actually quite easy. It comes top of mind. It becomes your fail safe, or your I'm trying to think of the word for it, but it's just what you would automatically do is you just there's another extra 20 or 30% that's available. And like when I was attempting the Trans Canadian speed record in 2018, there were many days that I really struggled out on the highway. And there was a couple times where I thought, I've got nothing left to give. And it was really quite funny because at that same time, you'd look up ahead and you see people on the side of the highway, and they were, families living with rare disease. Their children had rare diseases, or they had rare diseases as adults themselves. And you go and meet them, and they say thank you, and you find out that they've driven so far out of their way to come and see you. And they say, thank you for providing this. Um, and I've got a blister, or I've got a tight hamstring or something. And, it just doesn't really seem like a very good reason to be complaining or to even consider, quitting that day.
Wow.
And so it gives you that reason, I think, gives you an extra bump. And I think at times we need that those instances to slap us upside the head and say, yeah, you know what, you've got a blister, but another child somewhere is dying of something that they're not getting any attention, and they deserve that.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Well, based off that, so successful running requires like obviously in your case, you have this massive external focus, but it's also a balance that's required. You have to attend to your physiological needs. So how do you maintain that balance? Your nutrition, your energy levels, all of that, your heart rate. How do you go about that balance?
It's tricky because you can't always be completely outward focused. And that's what I'll tell my crew. Typically, when you run an ultra marathon or the run across Canada, you have people that for for the greater part, they look after you. They make sure that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And you could be outwardly focused, and focusing solely on something that's external, like purpose. But then on the other hand, yeah, there's probably about 20 other moving parts when it comes to fueling, when it comes to mental strategies, when it comes to a lot of the things, and pacing, and form, and everything. And all of those things need to be carefully placed. And so, a lot of the time, the further that I run, the more that my anterior brain does not work. And so the more I lean upon crew to help rebalance me when it comes to those things, that when you say, oh, no, 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 I'll light myself on fire today. Sometimes there's a crew member that's involved that says, yeah, no, you won't. You need to balance yourself out in order for long-term longevity, instead of just completely feeling 100% passionate about something. And this is something that I feel about a lot of people who are quite purposeful when it comes to a lot of things. Sometimes you end up seeing these protesters who, um, their purpose is incredible, but their execution fails,
Mhm.
right? And then you end up seeing these other people that are quite purposeful, but yet they have a community around them, and they're able to kind of figure those things out along the way, that they can end up doing it, um, in an intelligent way, that they will end up having success. So little bit by little bit, I think that having a big heart and driving something hard is great, but you also have to have a level of intelligence where you focus on the other 20 moving parts at the same time.
Oh, that's excellent. I also think of, when someone acts altruistically, you have these neurochemicals that are released to you, basically oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, for example, but also endorphins, so endogenous morphines. And endorphins, what they do is they reduce pain, so they increase your performance. So how do you think that plays a role in, do you think you actually have, an extremely high pain tolerance just because the floodgates are open with all of these chemicals? Do you think that plays a part, how you're so tough?
I think so. I think so. I, I I I know the specific moments when, because purpose it kind of flows up and down, doesn't it? You know, where sometimes it can kind of be, you know, on the side of your mind where you're really, and sometimes some things can pop up. Like I said, that, you know, those families living with rare disease on the side of the highway. And at those moments, um, you almost feel indestructible. Like you have an unrealistic sense of how good you are and how strong you are. The problem with that sometimes is that, you know, if you feel like a hero, you'll act like a hero, and then you'll end up, you know, 4 hours later on the side of the highway puking your guts out because you end up increasing the pace and you really shouldn't have physiologically done that. So,
Mhm.
you know, so yes, absolutely. I think, you know, you can end up talking to many characters, even in Calgary, like guys like Blaine Penny, who are the founders of Mito Canada, and you know, I think that, you know, his purpose really is driven into him to do incredible physical tasks, but it could also be one of the main reasons why he goes out and does such hard things and ends up blowing up epically. I don't want to say that Blaine blows up epically, but you do see that amongst people that go out hard and go
Mhm.
out with passion, they'll also blow up with passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe life, this is my perspective, it's not about really avoiding pain or seeking pleasure. It really should be about purpose. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And there is purpose within the pain or the discomfort as well too,
Mhm.
right? So, you know, you could also, I find where you could have external purpose, you know, the love that I have for my son and the rare disease community, that's wonderful. But I could also have purpose in life where, how do I say this? You know, I've got an app on my phone that goes and sends me a message 5 times a day, and it's called We Croak. Um, and it's an app that sends you a message that reminds you of your own imminent mortality, that I'm going to die. And I know it sounds really, really morbid, but there's an old Buddhist saying that says, um, those who contemplate their own mortality more than 5 times a day tend to lead happier lives, because when you know you're going to die, you tend to live.
Mhm.
And that's living with purpose.
Mhm.
That's living with, you know, purpose for growth. Every moment is, if you really haven't utilized that moment to the very best of its ability, it's gone.
Yeah.
You won't get those moments back again. The next 5 hours of your day, so um, you know, one day we will die, and I hate to tell everybody that, but that's death and taxes, right? And so having the purpose day to day that we can end up leaning on and say, okay, I've got one chance to get this right. And I don't mean to kind of piss off your viewers who are also saying, oh, no, no, what about the afterlife? Well, let's talk about this life, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, there's purpose within that too, I think. And there's personal fulfillment and wanting us all wanting to be the very best of us. And so I think that there's that external, but then there's that internal purpose that we can lean on. And that's just sometimes just as strong as that external purpose.
Yeah. Very insightful, Dave. Thanks for that. That's incredible. And yeah, you've got obviously a really big race next Saturday, World Champs. How do you feel going into it?
Really good. I mean, yeah, yeah, you never really know, right? Like I'm really, I can't wait to light myself on fire. You know, that's just what happens. It's Big's backyard. There's 22 satellite locations happening. I'm captaining the Canadian team. That's going to be in an undisclosed location in Kelowna, because we are in the Okanagan Valley. Crap, I'm not supposed to say that. And no, it's okay. We can roll it because it's a big city. But because we can't have a lot of people coming out because of COVID, you know, protocols.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a 6.7 kilometer loop course every hour until you can't.
Oh,
You know, last year I got 52 hours in Biggs in Tennessee. This is an easier course that we have in Canada. As long as we have two that are willing to tango in Canada, I think we can. I think we're going to go over 72 hours.
wow.
So you know that's over 300 miles of running, and so really it's just managing oneself, keeping purpose top of mind, you know, fueling strategies, pacing strategies, staying within yourself, not looking over the other person thinking, hey, I can't beat that person. Um, we're going to need one another, me and the other competitors, to go along. Once, if it's me and one other runner, and that other runner drops, I can only do one more lap, and that's my distance. So I want them to go and achieve their best, in order for me to achieve my best. I am because we are, is what I'm going to continually tell that other runner at the tail end of this race. And so I want to see success all the way around. Every Canadian athlete, I want them to come away with a personal best when it comes to their distance. And yeah, I'm in great shape to do so, and I'm in a really good mental space for it.
Yeah, sure sounds like physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you were saying that basically, yeah, you have an amazing attitude. You're hoping for 2021 across Canada, but it all depends on the COVID situation. So you'll just have basically make sure you're fit and ready to go, and hope for the best that way. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to basically what we talked about?
Yeah, no, I think that the topic of running or living with purpose really is just, it's, we have a very unique opportunity still, because we're all here, and we're all kind, and we all have a passion and a reason for doing something. And for us to not to take our skill sets, we all have exceptional skill sets in something, and to put that into its best practice, is just really not it's not a life well lived. And I know you exemplify that to a T. And I'm so lucky in my life that I know a lot of people who do the very same thing. So anybody out there that has a passion and a reason and a cause, and you think that you're doing enough, just do a little bit more. Step up for those vulnerable communities. Support those that you can. And when you can be anything in this world, just be kind.
Wow, that was phenomenal, Dave. I can't thank you enough. And just to summarize, you know, Dave just did basically, when the going gets tough, look beyond yourself. I think that's an incredible motto to have. So all the very best for next weekend and beyond, Dave. I can't thank you enough. You're truly incredible.
Oh, thanks a lot, Sel.
If you'd like any more information, you can go see our website, www.athleticwise.com. There you'll find several other topics about sports science, as well as other high performance speakers. Thanks again.